definitely that possibility that could cause damage to evidence. I saw in the video and heard that that offender actually walked in with a coffee cup.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be DNA in that coffee cup. Where did that coffee cup come from? Was it his coffee cup? Was it from a gas station? Was
Apparently
it from
he walked in with it.
right? But what brand? Was it Dunkin' Donuts? Was it Starbucks? Was it Speedway's coffee? Like, you know, in those places have cameras too. Did he pay with cash? Did he pay with credit card? Like, if it's credit card, like
Right.
we can, that's easy to track.
Well, just like Tinley Park PD, the lone survivor, she's not talking.
Right.
So we're 0 for 2.
Right.
I mean, not just the coffee cup. What about the duct tape that was used to tie everybody up?
Right.
What about the possible DNA on the shell casings?
Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Dispatch. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Do us a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. This episode is brought to you by Murphy Carter Law. We appreciate everything Murphy Carter Law does for the podcast and what he could do for you as well, you guys. He will treat you guys like family. Hit up Rick Murphy. You will not be disappointed. I'm flying through the intro today because I'm very excited for who we have in the studio, and he has a very limited time. He's a very busy man. Right after this, he has another speaking engagement. So we're going to rock through this episode, you guys. It is Charlie Min, who is the director of Who Killed These Women. It's related to the Lane Bryant 5 that were killed back in 2008. It's still an open case and still ongoing. Charlie, welcome to the show, brother. How are you feeling today?
Dom, thanks for having me. It's great to be in New Lenox. As you know, the movie's playing here and
Yes.
has had quite success. So thank you to the New Lenox community. And if they keep coming out, I hope the movie plays for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. I actually went to the showing last night. I was talking to you on the phone. I shot an email yesterday. I was like, yeah, there's no way he's going to get this email. And then I think it was your assistant or someone responded to me right away. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually going to happen. So, and then you called me short time later. And then we were talking on the phone. You're like, hey, go see it. I'm like, I'm going to go see it.
Unlike Tinley Park PD, we actually communicate. we're transparent.
Right.
We try to get to the bottom of matters. We're result driven. That's what Double Wave Productions is all about.
Let's go.
So 45 films in 15 years. We're constantly churning and burning and making things happen.
Absolutely, brother. So what made you feel compelled to do a story on or a documentary on the Lane Bryant shooting?
Plain and simple, the case is unsolved.
Right.
I wanted to make the documentary actually 8 years ago. I still have the email saved. I sent it to Ray Violetto, who was the detective at the time. He's since retired.
Okay.
And he said no. I'll never forget. I have the email saved as motivation.
Right.
And then when I revisited this case, August 2025, I reached out to Tinley Park PD again, got the same type of answer, and I said, screw it. I'm going to go ahead and make it anyway because we had some family members committed. It's not fair to them not to make the film just because Tinley Park PD wants to be the way they are, which is aloof to a fault, in my opinion. So we had family members on board. We had, I found the first 4 paramedics that were on scene, former Lane Bryant employees, one of them who knew the survivor, the lone survivor. So between all that, the reenactment, licensing footage of all the parking lot stuff, the B-roll of that, morning of, we also found I found two former, along with my producer, actually, 2 former police officers from Chicago PD. So I think, yes, the absence of Tinley Park PD certainly hurt in terms of information, but I think we have enough for the film to be out there. The tips and leads are coming in, actually, to our website. I think I'm working this more than the Tinley Park PD. I just have a funny feeling about that.
Okay.
And I've sent the FBI some leads. I think we're getting close. I really feel that.
Okay.
I think the public will solve it. Social media will solve it. And I'm getting really close in nailing down the lone survivor, at least knowing everything about her.
Okay.
She's only given her first name, or her first name is just Marty. It's been out there for a while, but I think I have her full name. Would love to interview her. I'm here to listen. I'm not here to judge.
Right.
And to her, if we get that interview, and we can certainly We don't have to show her face.
Right.
We can distort her voice.
Right.
So there are other
Technology's out
ways to
there.
do it.
Right. Technology's definitely out there. So what kind of leads are you guys getting, and how, like, what's the volume look like?
All the above, you name it. We've gotten people who have submitted sketches. Some leads you can tell right away are people that are a little uneven, and it's not a strong lead.
Right.
But we got one last week from 2 different people who didn't know each other. Very extensive, comprehensive, in-depth. You know right away this is serious.
Detailed. Yeah.
Detailed, yeah. They took their time. This wasn't done in 5 minutes or less.
Right.
This was thought out. I'm going to say to construct the email probably took at least an hour, if not longer.
So it's a lot
especially
of
one of
detail.
the 2. The other one was detailed as well. But what struck me about both emails is that not only was it detailed, but there was a common name in both.
Really?
There was an overlap of a name. And again, these 2 people, they don't know each other.
Right.
So I sent those to the FBI right away. We also sent it into Tinley Park PD. Incredibly, Tinley Park PD responded.
Really?
Yeah, they responded. And they actually said they cleared, I guess they cleared that person in 2008. When I went back to the tipster and I said that person was cleared, the person couldn't believe it. The person said, there's no way that could be. This is the guy. And I guess something about the tipster was upset that just because Tinley Park PD, just because I guess they questioned him and he said something to the effect of I didn't have braids or something, the beads.
Yeah.
And I guess they just let him go because of that. I'd have to go back and look at the email, but I believe that was the reason. But the tipster thought there should have been more of a reason to let this guy go.
Then he didn't have braids.
Exactly, or whatever, something to that effect.
Right. And hopefully I'm going to give Tinley Park the benefit of the doubt that they would actually look into this individual and not just take he didn't have braids is an indicator ruling him out of the investigation.
Well, I will say this.
You would hope.
Most of the people who submit tips and leads to our website, by the way, the website is thetinley5.com. That's the number 5. Most of them actually say, we haven't heard back from Tinley Park PD.
Really?
So we're contacting you.
Right.
So there's a pattern going on here where Tinley Park PD, they just don't talk. And I criticize that because this is my 3rd unsolved crime documentary. The first 2, both law enforcement agencies in those cities, Las Cruces, New Mexico, Scottsdale, Arizona, both departments could not have been more forthcoming, transparent, communicative. I don't know what's going on at Tinley Park PD.
I don't know either.
I really don't. And I have nothing against the police.
Right.
One of my best films is about a policeman.
Right.
Mexico's Bravest Man. So I'm not anti-cop. I'm anti-injustice.
Right.
And they're not giving any justice to the community or to the families. I understand you don't want to compromise an investigation and leak out information that only the killer would know. But there's got to be something you can share.
Right.
So the public can chew on it, share thoughts and ideas. And I really do believe that social media will solve this case.
Right. And I remember you saying that in the past interview. You did it with, I think it's Mokina's Front Porch with Israel, which is a local podcast around here. Well, let's dive into the Tinley Park Police Department really quick. So they are not being transparent with you. They're not being transparent with the public. I know from what I've heard it was like they have like 2 full-time detectives on this case currently. And I think the last time they did something with media, I think it drew a lot of attention and it drew a lot of leads into Tinley Park from what I remember correctly.
I mean, this is why it doesn't hurt to talk.
Right. Agreed.
Right? I mean, it's been 18 years.
Because people talk. So, like, usually people, when they commit crimes, they're talking, right? They're talking to loved ones, they're talking to significant others, and they're telling them. But, I mean, that's the same thing with the Brown's Chicken murder in 1993. Palatine,
yeah.
Correct. Because, like, he told his girlfriend, and then there was, like, a DNA match with
a chicken
wing in the trash, which is great police work.
It is. It is. So, again, something leads to something. Nothing leads to nothing. I've gotten close with some family members, victims' family members, and they tell me that the police don't reach out to them.
For the Lane Bryant?
Yeah, for Lane Bryant.
Really?
I talked to Connie Woolfolk's family, and I think they told me the other day we were in the parking lot of where it happened, and they haven't reached out to them in probably 15 years.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't think they've contacted them either. So
right,
it is a bit of a two-way street.
Two-way street, yeah.
But it doesn't hurt to check in on the victim's family to say, hey, how are you doing? This is the latest.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to defend Tinley Park, but as a detective, like there's a lot going on. Like we do have other cases, so it is difficult to keep up that communication with that family when you're working constant cases and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like it is an unsolved case. So I understand where you're coming from, and I understand from the family's viewpoint of how they would feel dismissed.
Right. There needs to be more chatter in general
Going on, and I think you're drumming it up right now with your documentary. I mean, it's case in point, like you are getting leads. People are sending you guys to that website, or their leads or information to that website, which is huge because as time goes on, the word gets out.
I'm here to make things happen.
Right.
And it's been dormant. The case has faded.
Yeah.
The news only mentions it on February the 2nd. And basically the only new info is that it's a year older.
Yeah.
So what are we at now, 18? I'm sure 20 years, if it gets that far, I'm sure 20 years they'll get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Because it's a landmark anniversary. Hopefully it won't get to that.
Right.
But, I mean, look at Palatine, the Browns Chicken Massacre. That took 9 years.
9 years.
Lane Bryant has officially doubled that.
Yeah, and I think it got solved right around the Lane Bryant shooting, right? When it occurred,
it happened in '93. It got solved in 2002. So
okay.
6 years prior.
6 years prior.
Yeah.
So that probably put a little bit of pressure on that Tinley Park Police Department to get it solved. But I mean, they should have pressure the whole time.
The pressure's on as soon as it happens.
Right.
And I'd love to know what Tinley Park PD did as soon as they got to the scene. That really hasn't been disclosed.
Yeah, the only thing I can tell you is from my personal experience, it's chaotic responding to a call like that, right? Where gunshots you heard and someone's calling the police and you're responding, first officer in scene. Like what you're doing is you're first one through the door. You're going straight to wherever that shooter is, possibly clearing that immediate area, making sure you don't see any additional individuals, suspects, yada yada yada. And then you clear the rest of the building. And then when you walk into the scene that officer probably walked into, it's not a good thing to see. And it's probably sheer panic. Your adrenaline's going. You're not really thinking clearly. And then additional officers. So first and foremost is scene security. Like you need to secure that scene because now it is a crime scene. You know, we can't be kicking shell casings. We can't be stepping over footprints. We can't be damaging DNA, possible DNA. So there's a lot involved in it. And then too, it's like, where's the shooter? You're in a high populated area in that little shopping mall. There's a lot of stores and a lot of people. So now you have to find out where that shooter is and secure that area because now other lives are at risk. He just executed 5 people, tried to execute 6.
Right. But if you know it just happened, where do you find that balance? Yes, you have to the bodies first, right? You look at that, but
survivors, check for survivors.
So, see if there was a survivor.
Right.
But at what point do you go, okay, I'll take care of this, you look for the killer?
Right, and that's why it's thought process when that is happening, it's an OODA loop, right? So it fucks with your OODA loop, which is like your thought process. All right, I'm gonna do this, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. When something comes up and punches you in the face, like walking into a scene like that, it messes with your OODA loop and your thought process. So like that officer probably could have been like, hey, listen, this is secured. Look, we need to start searching around the area. So,
but how quickly did they do that? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Right. When were the roadblocks set up?
Yeah.
Was Highway 80 closed?
Right.
I know they went store to store.
Right, because there is, for people who don't know, there is a major expressway
80?
right there, on and off. Like, it's super easy to get on and off. But at the same time, too, it's like something to keep in mind is there was a lot of snow. There was a lot of snow. So it's like if that dude did flee on foot out the back door, like some people speculate, and went through that grassy area, the snow area, there would be footprints. Like, are we following these footprints? But again, like there's no camera footage inside that building or near that building. I think the only thing they had was Target?
The Super Target from 200 yards away.
Right, and then if you looked at it, and it's grainy, you can't see anything.
Well, they got 2 black cars in the parking lot.
Right.
Could that have had something to do with it? My guess is no.
Right.
Almost looked like a drug deal was going on. You have 2 cars parked side by side. They were in and out.
Yeah.
Were they a getaway car for the killer?
Right.
Why would you have 2 getaway cars?
Doesn't make sense, right?
Complicates matters.
Right. I mean, there's so many variables that can play into it because there's some people live in this area and they're like, hey, we'll meet at Target. I'll give you your shirt that I bought you or this I bought you. It could be that, or it could be a drug deal, or it could have been getaway car. We don't.
Right.
No one knows.
And did the killer walk out the front? He could have walked out the back. He could have had a car back there, maybe his own car.
Yes.
I think he left by vehicle. I just think that to be out in the open like that, in snowy conditions, he could be running around with blood all over his shirt.
His shirt, right?
I mean, tell me that wouldn't look.
They're splattered.
Tell me you wouldn't stick out.
Right. He was wearing dark clothing, so that's gonna probably mask it. My thing is, what was released to the public was it was a possible delivery driver, right? So that information had to have come from the survivor because there's no
right.
one else.
All the information is
comes from the
survivor.
Yeah, and the only thing we know is it was a delivery driver. They came in. It was in the store for like 40-ish 5 minutes.
Right. He posed as a delivery driver.
Correct.
And I still don't even understand why he even needed to do that, because at 10 a.m. anyone can walk in.
Right.
He could have come in and said, "I'm getting something for my girlfriend."
Right. And the weird thing is too, it's why Elaine Bryant? Why Elaine Bryant? First thing in the morning, when if you are a true criminal, you are a person who is robbing a store and is making that decision. I'm going to do this.
And there's a bank right there.
And there's a bank right there.
Right.
Or you could have done Target, which has probably way more cash. And
Yeah, but they have a lot more people, though.
right, 100%.
Right.
But like, if you want bang for your buck, why are you going to Elaine Bryant? Like,
I
first thing
get
in the
it.
morning.
Okay, well, let me answer that. Two answers for me. A, it's right by I-80, like
Right.
you said. And B, maybe we're just dealing with a chaotic, deranged individual.
But that's the other thing too.
And there's no rhyme or reason for anything
Why he did what he did.
criminal does. He's just deranged.
Right.
So maybe he got off at 80. He saw the first thing, which is a Lane Bryant. It could have been Kohl's. It could have been Sally's Beauty Shop.
Right.
He chose Lane Bryant. Maybe he knew there'd be women in there, so he can overpower them.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an inside job, maybe he knew there were no cameras inside.
Right.
Was somebody targeted? That's been asked over and over and over again. I don't think so, because it took 40 minutes. If you see your target, you're going to try to get rid of that target in 2 minutes and get out.
Right. But it's just such a weird target for a robbery. I don't believe it's a robbery personally, because
Right.
if you wanted to, there's gas stations and they probably have more money, cash.
Well,
There's-
banks is the big one.
in banks, but for a softer target would be there's a gas station right down the street. Easily could have hit that up, in, out, done.
Right.
And it's right by I-80 as well. So it's just a very odd location
Sure.
for a robbery. And you said there's possibly it could be like alternative motives, like an inside job, or we don't know that because no one's talking.
Tinley Park PD is not talking. We need more witnesses, if there are any, or people that have heard things over time. The possibilities are endless. One of the people in the film said, I think we're all grasping for straws at this point
Right.
on what it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the biggest theories out there is Rhoda McFarland, the manager, who was with a church just
Right.
prior, and there was some corruption, financial corruption going on that she was looking to uncover. So a lot of people have told me they think that someone was hired to get rid of her.
Which could be very well the case.
But then why did it take 40 minutes? If you see Rhoda,
Right. Why not just
why does it take 40? The plan was sloppy
yeah.
and long. I mean, this killer is begging to get caught. He walks in with no mask,
Right.
spends 40 minutes there. That's a long time.
A long 10 minutes is a long time.
I mean, what was he doing for 40 minutes?
Right.
For crying out loud. So the plan was sloppy, but the escape was not. He's a human fly. He got away.
Yeah.
So you went from a very stupid criminal in my mind to someone who somehow has eluded capture for almost 2 decades now.
Because
So-
I think the first responding officer got there, in a minute?
He missed him by seconds.
Second.
That's why I think the killer walked out the back door, because if he runs out the front door,
He's
he's
walking right
going to
into
run into the
officer.
police. What's he going to say? I'm in the middle of a mass shooting?
Yeah.
So I think he went out the back door. But again, I'm not sure of that, because when the officers ran in, the front door, it was not locked from what I was told. So maybe he ran out the front door, and that explains why the front door was not locked. Because I think he locked the front door, because in 40 minutes, you're telling me only 4 customers came in when they were having a clearance sale?
Right.
I mean, there were 4 right away.
Yeah.
2 when he walked in, along with 2 employees. 2 more customers came in. And I even said that in the film. 1 against 6, that's a lot of work. I don't care if it's 6 women and 1 guy. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're 3rd-degree black belt in karate. For you to control 6 people,
Yeah.
one of them is bound to fight back, and one of them did.
Right.
Connie,
Connie did.
whose
Correct.
family I met this week for the first time. They have never given a TV interview before. She had apparently blood underneath her fingernails.
That was not hers.
Exactly.
Right.
She scratched him.
Right.
And in the reenactment I directed, I had that where the killer all of a sudden is struggling with her, and he goes, "Oh!"
Yeah.
So that was the scratch.
Right.
So you would think that would be the telltale evidence to solve this thing.
Right.
But I'm learning all these things about DNA, and I'm hardly a forensics expert. If you're
Right.
not in CODIS,
Yeah. You can't pop.
you can't do a match. But
Yeah.
I heard with all this modern technology with genealogy, you don't need that. Do you know the answer to that?
So I'm not very familiar. I was never an ET or I was never a CSI as a detective, but I would send out DNA to BA nails, and they would kind of come back like if there's multiple DNA attached to it, it gets mixed up and it's hard to read. So you have to know what you're looking for to be able to really determine and read that, and they'll tell you like what the percentage of a match is and what this is and what that is. So there's a lot to it. If he had gloves on, or it doesn't matter it does matter if he had gloves on, but for her, if her blood mixed into it, I mean, it could have damaged the DNA. I don't know the ins and outs of the case. I would have to look at the case to actually be able to determine what kind of quality DNA is. So it's hard. Like, and also back in 2008. So I don't know if they had sent in the DNA again. We don't know because they're also not talking. So
Right.
it's anyone's.
I mean, to me, Tinley Park PD is just a big fat zero. I'll tell you what Tinley Park PD is. They are the Chicago Bears in the last 40 years.
Well, not this year. We did good
Nothing.
this year, brother.
No, but I'm talking about Super Bowls.
Oh, right.
Okay, they are the Chicago Bears in the last 40 years.
Yeah, I've heard
Right.
a lot of criticism. I've talked to a few of my buddies in the area who are in law enforcement, and one in particular who responded to that day, and he said it was a shit show. It was a shit show.
Can you be more specific?
He didn't respond to the criminal investigation. He was just more of a perimeter and checking and sweeping, and from what he heard, it was a shit show. But it's also chaotic, right? Because you're now having 5 people killed. You're having multiple officers from multiple jurisdictions being called in to assist, right? So the main department's going to take care of the investigation. They'll probably call it a task force, which I'm pretty sure they did. And the other responding officers are going to hold perimeter. They're going to start searching and combing and going through all the stores and going through all the cars to see what they can find, check for video footage and all that stuff. So, but he was not a fan of how it was handled. I've heard a lot of controversial things with the department afterwards with the current chief. Things are not good.
Well, I know agencies right away, they get territorial.
Right.
And Tinley Park PD, I talked to one guy who was actually thrown out of the scene. They were telling him to leave. So,
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's to that effect where
Right.
I think it's an ego thing. I think Tinley Park, they want to solve it. They don't want someone else solving it.
It could be. I think they would rather have that case solved. If they don't want anyone else solving it, I don't think they would have had the FBI and states and all of those other guys come in and assist, right?
But
think
it's not their call, right? I mean, when other agencies join, whose call is that?
For that, like the day of,
Yeah.
it's mutual aid. So like you literally just had 5 people executed. You're calling for mutual aid because a lot of your officers are going to be responding to the scene to take care of scene control, right? And also for looking for the shooter, right? So you're going to call Orland Hills or Orland, and they're going to come and take the calls for Tinley Park because that's going to be pulling a lot of your manpower off the street. Now Tinley Park is not being protected. So you're going to have outside agencies or Cook County, Will County are going to come and help take calls for Tinley Park because they're down. They're going to be calling their guys in. Additional officers are coming to the scene. The task force is coming to the scene. SWAT's going to come to the scene, all that stuff. What a huge thing is scene protection is massive, right? You have to protect the scene at all costs. And if you have people coming in and out of that scene constantly, you're going to be possibly damaging evidence. Like footprints, it's wet, right? So if that guy had stepped in water, he would have footprints and they could be able to determine on the floor and lift a print or get a print off the floor of that guy's shoes. But if you have multiple officers coming on the scene, they're tracking their footprints. And then that could damage the offender's footprint as well. So, I mean, there's so many different variables involved. So if you don't protect the scene, it could be very detrimental to the case.
So do you think that happened?
It's a possibility. I mean, if you, like me personally, if I had a store in our town in Romeoville that there was people executed, it's going to be chaos because you're not expecting that, right? These towns don't usually have these types of calls. It doesn't happen in the suburbs. It's probably more likely to happen, in the suburbs directly surrounding Chicago and in Chicago for sure. But here it really doesn't happen. So it's just a different call that they're expecting, right? So there's a lot that goes through the officers' minds when they're responding to a call like that. It's chaotic. It really truly is. I don't think they intentionally meant to damage the scene. I don't know if they did or didn't, but there's definitely that possibility that could cause damage to evidence. I saw in the video and heard that offender actually walked in with a coffee cup. There has to be DNA in that coffee cup. Where did that coffee cup come from? Was it his coffee cup? Was it from a gas station? Was
Apparently
it from
he walked in with it.
Right, but what brand? Was it Dunkin' Donuts? Was it Starbucks? Was it Speedway's coffee? Like, and those places have cameras too. Did he pay with cash? Did he pay with credit card? Like, if it's credit card, like,
right,
that's easy to track.
Well, just like Tinley Park PD, the lone survivor, she's not talking.
Right.
So we're left with we're 0 for 2.
Right.
I mean, not just the coffee cup. What about the duct tape that was used to tie everybody up?
Right.
What about the possible DNA on the shell casings?
Yeah.
Or fingerprints.
Fingerprints, yeah.
The struggle with Connie.
The struggle with Connie, absolutely. I mean, you're going to be able to pull DNA if she did scratch him. You're going to be able to pull DNA off that. You're going to be able to pull DNA off the coffee cup where he was sipping from. Possibly fingerprints. I don't know if he had gloves on or not. When he loaded his magazine, did he have gloves on or not? Like,
I don't think he had gloves at all.
But pre to that call, did he load those bullets into that magazine with gloves on? Possibility, we don't know. That's another indicator.
I know they interviewed hairdressers because of his unique hairstyle with the beads and the braids, the 4 green beads,
and nothing.
Again, Tinley Park PD, they don't talk, so I don't know if they had a lead or not.
Right, and I saw in the documentary, and that lady did make a good point. Like, a lot of times people get their hair done by, or individuals get their hair done by family members, braids and beads and stuff like that.
And if you know what you're doing, you can possibly do it yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? It would be a little hard.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it.
Right. I mean, but if you know what you're doing,
right, for sure.
In anything in life, you could pull it off.
Right, and another complicating factor is too. It's like cell towers. Yes, can we pull data off cell towers? 100%. But now you're by I-80, so now you're picking up like everyone and their mother, right? So that's a long list to go through. Did you know or hear of the victims' phones being dumped? Did the victims' family say they did?
Well, we talked about that one phone call that Rhoda had that morning with, I guess it was a ping on a call from Texas, and the brothers said it might have been a family member she was talking to. I guess they never quite identified who she was talking to.
Okay.
Although,
because the church that is in question is in Texas.
Yes. So, like you make a great point. Cell phone records, but again, I keep going back to this. Tinley Park PD won't talk. Right. So it doesn't hurt for them to give the information. This is who Rhoda was talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they're just not. They're quiet to a fault.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do blame them for not having this case solved. They're the driving force,
right,
in my opinion, on why this case hasn't been solved. Something got really screwed up in the beginning, and people tell me, a lot of people, that the reason why they're being so quiet is because they did majorly F this whole thing up, and they don't want to be called out. I think the 55,000 residents in Tinley Park are just too quiet. There needs to be more emotion. There needs to be a push.
Yeah. And
there's no push from the Tinley Park residents. 5 women were executed. It doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
100%.
That seems to be the attitude that I'm sensing. And to be honest, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
There needs to be some activism, someone who's outspoken about this. It could be anyone in Chicago. I don't care if it's Caleb Williams.
Right.
Where's Michelle Obama?
Right.
She's a big Chicago person. How come she can't send a tweet and says she's at the NBA All-Star game fooling around? Why can't you just send out one tweet about the women in Tinley Park, and you're at the NBA All-Star game?
Well, we could get into a whole conversation about politics, brother. It's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day.
Right.
But like, if it's not on their radar or doesn't benefit them, I don't think they will make a push like that. And that's just my personal belief on politicians in general. I think they're all corrupt and full of shit. So, but
well,
that's just my
yeah,
my
like you said,
personal
that's for
opinion.
another day. But
Yeah.
I mean, here you have Michelle Obama, who I think is from the South Side of Chicago, right?
I believe so.
She's a big Chicago person.
Yeah, I know
Could
her
it
and
hurt? Could it hurt just
and
to
Barack.
say? And you don't even have to get political. You could just say, "My heart goes out to the victims' families."
right. Well, I think you're
How could that hurt?
yeah. Well, I you know, out of sight, out of mind, right? You know, and I think you're kind of putting it into people's sight and putting it into people's mind by making this documentary and you know, not vamping but revitalizing, you know, the push for the Tinley Park Five, and it definitely does need to happen. These women need to see justice, and their families need to see justice. I agree. It needs to be brought back up, and it needs to be a bigger push. But I will bring this up, and I talked to one of my friends. He was informing me that there's a possible firearm that was located, and I don't know if this is in the past year or 5 years, but they're saying that this firearm could be connected to the shell casings found on scene. So the NIBIN test was able to determine that, if that's what they're saying. So what it is they'll check so each firearm it hits a shell casing a certain way, and they can analyze that and be able to determine if the shell casings came from this gun. And I believe they might have found a firearm.
And where did they find that firearm?
I don't know yet. So I was actually on the phone with him when I was waiting to pick you up, and he was going to give me a call back, and he never did because he was waiting for someone to call him back. So he was saying that there was word out there that there's a possible firearm located.
Yeah. Now they never located the gun, to the best of my knowledge.
Right.
My best guess is that the killer ran out with it, escaped with it.
Right.
But
Oh,
after
100%.
that, who knows?
Right. But where did they find it at is the real question, right?
He could have just chucked it on I-80.
Right. So if they found a firearm, there's a really good indication that maybe they do have a lead. And if that's the case, then maybe that's why they're not saying anything. I'm not trying to defend Tinley Park by any means, and I'm not trying to slam them by any means either, because I don't know the ins and outs of the case.
Right.
So
right.
I can't really make that statement. But if that's the case, I mean, that could lead me to believe that they have a lead that they're going to be working on.
Well, I certainly don't deny they have leads.
Yeah.
I mean, apparently they went through 7,000 leads.
Yeah.
And spent over $1 million on.
I thought it was like it was like 2 or
something
one,
like that. Yeah, I
stupid.
read that somewhere. I don't know if it's
Right.
accurate, but they wrote me that email saying that when they found out I used to work at America's Most Wanted, they told me that show actually hurt them.
Yeah.
Because they made that show produce so many leads for them that they went down a wrong lane.
Right.
And I'm assuming they meant, they wasted time, resources, time, manpower.
Right, because what it takes is you have to have these detectives follow up on it. They have to reach out, and if there's like you said, a detailed claim or detailed information, all right, that could be workable. Like, let's follow that lead, and now you're following that lead, and you're interviewing this person, you're traveling here, you're traveling there. That does take time and money. 100%.
Right, but isn't that a lazy approach? Isn't that your job, though?
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not saying that's a justification to not, take on additional leads.
But that email was clear to me. That's why they don't want to deal with people like me in the media, because it produces, for them, what they believe is
More
a lot
work.
of false leads.
Right, and more work and wasted money. But at the same time, it's like, what price can you put on 5 lives?
Right.
And giving those people justice in their family peace.
I think Charlie's right, though. If you release a little bit of information, it could lead to social media, and somebody in Texas says,
Yeah,
"Oh my
something we
gosh,
can chew on."
Yeah,
Yes.
I have this information for you."
Right.
And
They're-
revitalizes the investigation. And then too, it's like, well, some people are scared to talk, and some people, like, if they know the shooter, like, they feel like maybe their life's in danger.
Well,
so
you can leave a tip anonymously then.
right. Well, exactly. But that also could empower people to be like, you know what? No, I am going to talk. So if you do give that information and they're like, we want to help, and then the police can provide protection too. They can provide additional patrol and all those things. So there's no reason not to talk. So if anyone does have information, you guys reach out, say something.
To put it simply, we need more meat to the bone.
Yes,
We have
100%.
no meat to the bone right now.
Right.
And you said something interesting about protecting people. In the beginning, Tinley Park PD said there were no survivors.
Which is weird. So when the shooting happened, it was 5 deceased. When did the information come
so
out?
this is what happened. If you read the Chicago Tribune, an excellent paper, by the way, on Sunday, February the 3rd, 2008, they reported that there were no survivors. Apparently, this leaked. Is it called the St. James Hospital in Olympia Fields?
That sounds familiar.
Am I getting
Can you
that
look
right?
that up, Nick? St.
No.
James Hospital?
Olympia Fields. I guess an ICU doctor or some doctor leaked that one of the Lane's Bryant victims was here. So it
Oh.
leaked. It got too far and wide that Tinley Park PD had no choice but to say we do have a survivor. Somebody did some great investigative work and actually reached the parents of that lone survivor in Kentucky. And there was an article that was published. The parents were quoted in that article. I think I know who the lone survivor is.
Do you know what the quote was?
I think they were just saying that she's okay. She had a
Okay.
grazed wound on her neck, something
So they
to that
confirmed.
degree.
Okay.
I've done so much digging on this, and I've had people reach out to me. I met this one lady just by texting, and on the phone we talked once. She worked with the lone survivor Marty in what's the name of that town? It's about an hour west of Tinley Park. If you said the name, I'd know it right away. At some dentist's office. I
Is it
think Plainfield.
Plainfield is
Okay.
It's probably about close to an hour, 45
Okay,
minutes.
she worked with the lone survivor after the mass shooting, not very long after the mass shooting. And she said that the lone survivor would show people the scar on her neck from the graze wound.
Mm-hmm.
Like she'd wear a scarf and she would show people the graze wound.
Right.
I believed her. I don't see why someone would make that up. What did she gain by making that up?
Nothing.
When I did a Q&A at AMC Crestwood last weekend, this one audience member said, I'm texting with the lone survivor now. I almost wanted to stop the Q&A and grab her phone.
Right.
So the point is, I got to keep getting out there. I got to keep being aggressive. And this is what Tinley Park PD is not being, and at least from what I can see.
Right. From our knowledge,
Yeah, I'm trying to get this film shown at the Tinley Park Convention Center.
it's a huge place. We were just there. It's a big place. Yeah, they could fill a lot of people.
Oh, I mean, I just think that's what this case needs. It needs something groundbreaking. It needs something innovative.
Yeah.
Right now it's too boring, quiet, and that's Tinley Park PD.
Pushed off to the side.
Yeah, we
in the
need
back
some
burner.
guy to come in here, a rock and roll guy who just knows how to stir things up. We need like a Vince McMahon, a Dana White,
Yeah.
something that's just going to just absolutely energize the community and make the most boring person in the world show a pulse.
Yeah.
That's what this case needs. Right now, it's just too sleepy.
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing your part, brother, because I mean, people are sending leads in. I mean, we've talked about that, and people are going to see the documentary.
Right.
And I mean, my mom knew Sarah, and my aunt was actually going to go to that store. She had a hair appointment.
Your mom knew Sarah Safransky?
Yes.
How well?
I don't know how well, but she remembers and knows the family.
No way.
Yeah.
She was the youngest victim.
Yeah, she was a young girl, and it is heartbreaking because she just graduated college at Northwestern.
Northern
Illinois. Yes.
And they had a mass shooting 2 weeks after the Lane Bryant.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
February was a bad month now.
It was a bad.
in the Chicagoland area.
It was really bad.
Yeah, February 2008. Let's just erase that month.
Yeah, but it's like even after that shooting, like I was working as a I was still in high school. I was down in Tinley Park, but at the car dealership Apple Chevrolet. And I remember exactly where I was. I was shoveling snow, and I heard it, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's crazy!" Like it hit home for me. And then talking to my aunt, she's like, "I was literally getting my hair done." It got pushed a little bit, and she's like, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna pay this, I'm gonna pay that. And then my grandma's like, no, I want to stop and get coffee and food. And they were headed that way, stopped to get coffee and food, and then that shooting happened.
You know, out of the 5 families that lost their loved ones, Sarah's family is the only one I haven't spoken to.
Yeah, I think they took it hard, and I think it's you know, and I can't blame them because, you know, their daughter was taken from them, and that's heartbreaking. And to lose a child, no parent should ever lose a child, or no child should lose their mother or father too soon. And a lot of those women had children and husbands.
Yep.
And, you know.
Yeah, a lot of women, you're right, had children. One of them had a 6-month-old.
Heartbreaking.
Very heartbreaking. The other one, Connie, had a 10-year-old who had a spinal cord issue.
Yeah.
And he's still in a wheelchair today. And that family has had complications because of that passing.
Yeah.
They've taken it so hard.
Oh God, that's a
That-
caretaker for that kid, and I'm sure that was a negative effect on that kid alone. You know, behavioral and all that stuff.
You know, when I make films, I'm victim driven. I don't mention the killer's name in any of my films because I think that creates copycats, and I think I can minimize the death of innocent people in this country by having the rest of the media follow my lead and stop mentioning the killer's name.
That's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge because we
killers want that
glorify them.
attention.
Yeah, we glorify those people.
Yeah, so if killers knew going in their name will never be mentioned again,
yeah,
then maybe there'll be less murders in our country. So that's my formula. I'm trying to get the rest of the media to follow my formula.
that'll never happen, brother. It drives too much attention to media when they're dropping all that stuff, and then media in general. I mean, again, that's another podcast for another day because
if it bleeds, it leads. You mean?
Yeah, I think they care more about views than the stories that they tell. My personal opinion for mainstream media. I think it's all narrative. I think it's, you know, all for view driven. So of course they're going to release a name. Of course they're going to, you know, put that person's picture up there, and that creates copycats. But it's like too, it's like when these people are put in prison, they have like men and women writing these killers, glorifying
like
them,
the Menendez
sexual.
brothers.
Yeah.
Didn't one of them want to marry one of the Menendez?
I guarantee
brothers?
it. I guarantee it. They probably were. They were sending, like, I heard, like, they send racy photos to these killers, and, you know, they idolize them. It's like, what the fuck
the guy
country
who
we in?
killed that healthcare guy.
Yes.
He's become like a rock star.
Luigi something.
Yeah. Is that sick or what?
It's so sick. and people were like celebrating this guy's death. And, you know, did he work in a kind of a shitty industry because, you know, healthcare is kind of fucking bullshit and health insurance is kind of fucking bullshit and corrupt and crooked? You should still never celebrate someone's death. That's horrible.
Right, but he's getting too much attention.
Way too much attention.
Yeah.
And that's, and just like you said, what does that create? It creates copycats.
Right, because someone's looking at that and they're like, okay, I want to be like that. I want to be Billy the Kid, or
they want their name out there. They want to become famous. And
Ted Bundy, or Charles Manson, or Jeffrey Dahmer, or
those people are going down in history. People want to go down in history.
Right. And Billy the Kid,
Yeah, and a lot of people who are these types of it's a mental illness, you know, and people who are sheltered and have these types of mental illness and they see this happen, they're like, oh, that could be me.
Right.
You know, that could be me. And you have a lot of these, like, mass shootings where they're engraving stuff into the bullets, and it's just sick.
Like the Mexican drug cartels.
Yeah. Oh, God, what's going on in Mexico is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, when I was making 11 films inside the war zone, the Zeta cartel was the big one. And what they would do is, after they murdered somebody, they would inscribe a big Z on their skin to let everyone know this was a Zeta hit.
Right.
But right now, Mexico is upside down because of the killing of El Mencho from the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generacion. It's caused mayhem in Mexico right now, to the fact that they might actually cancel some of the World Cup soccer games.
I don't blame them.
This summer.
They just took over two airports, I heard, and they're setting, like, gas stations on
it's
fire.
happening as we speak.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's, go on social media, go on X, go on Instagram, TikTok, like, they're showing you everything. Like, there's bodies everywhere. People's heads are missing. Like, it's just chaos.
Yeah, I mean, this causes a power vacuum where now you don't know who the next big head is.
Right. Well, the corruption in Mexico is just...
And that's for another whole...
Yeah.
Right.
100%, brother.
Yeah.
I was talking to you, or my brother Nick. Sorry for people who are just listening, not watching. Nick, you mentioned too that someone is close to releasing information on the Lane Bryant shooting. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I met a gentleman who said that there was some new information that came of light, and they thought they'd be close to solving it. Which now you mentioned
the gun.
So that might be something that.
And this is this week, Nick?
The conversation I had was probably a couple months ago.
Okay.
The gentleman did say, you know, because we were talking about what he's done and stuff like that, and he made a comment of somehow the Lane Bryant murder got brought up, and he's like, oh, there's some new information that'll come to light, and I thought I'd actually hear about it, you know, through the media, but it's been radio silent. And then when Dom told me that he had you coming on the podcast, and I was like, oh, you know, supposedly they're a little closer to solving the case.
So that leads me to believe that they might have a lead.
Well, there's certainly more talk about it. There's more dialogue going on, and that's what this needs.
Yeah.
There's no reason why we should only talk about it on the anniversary.
Right.
Case is unsolved. I mean, February 2nd, yeah, that's when it happened. But why not talk about it in August or March or whatever?
Right. I heard they did reach out to an outside agency. Was it somewhere in Jersey or something that
They went to Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, that's it.
Yeah,
And
and they talked to some seasoned former law enforcement who is giving them advice on.
have you reached out to them at all?
I didn't. I studied them. I felt, and I easily could have because I just made a movie in Philadelphia. Very familiar with that city, but I didn't think it would really add to anything because they were just looking for their advice.
Okay.
What I need is a Ray Violetto, who was the main detective on the case. He probably knows more about this thing than anyone.
And he's not retired, right?
Yeah, he's now retired. Either getting a detective like him or the lone survivor,
Yeah.
there would easily be a part 2
Yeah.
to this thing.
Yeah.
If it gets solved, I wouldn't mind doing a part 2 just on how it was solved.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Because a lot of people are curious about this case. I think more people were curious about the Browns chicken
Yeah.
massacre because maybe that was the first real big
93.
one,
Yeah.
the original one in
Yeah.
'93. Everyone talks about that one. There was a book written about it as well.
Right.
So
right,
I don't
right.
think a documentary's been made on that. I don't know. I don't really see the point of making one because everything is done and over with. But
Right.
certainly Tinley Park. I'm surprised that some documentarian didn't get to this case before I did.
Yeah.
18 years, a New Yorker, a hard-charging, aggressive New Yorker came in and did it. How come someone from Downers Grove couldn't have done it?
Right.
Someone local
Right.
who was bothered by this, angered by this. But so be it if it was me almost 2 decades later.
Yeah, because you were talking to, I think she was an attorney.
Karen Conti?
Yeah, Karen Conti. And
Yeah.
she was saying, why not bring in fresh eyes? Why not bring in like a hard charger or a grinder to assist in
We
the
need a whole
case?
new set of eyes on this. It's gotten stale.
Yeah.
We really got to bring in, like I said, innovative, groundbreaking. I love that word. Just a groundbreaking rock and roll type of guy who just doesn't do the norm.
Yeah.
Thinks outside the box.
Did the family, and I asked this question earlier, I don't know if we talked about it, but the family, did the family state that the officers actually took possession of their cell phones? I'm sure they did because we usually collect everything in evidence. Did they collect the cell phones?
Once
Did they?
again, Tinley Park PD, they don't talk. I probably said it 5 times during
Yeah.
this podcast.